The purpose of this comparative study is to show the interpretation of New Hollywood in new cinema. The two films under analysis, Francis Ford Coppola's The Godfather and Quentin Tarantino's Inglourious Basterds, both directors are considered auteurs who exert remarkable creative control, yet they work in very different cultural time periods. The Godfather was a gritty, harsh take on the American dream. Filmed at the height of the New Hollywood movement, it quickly became a fan favorite, using moral conflict to question American values. Inglourious Basterds, directed by Quentin Tarantino, reframes Coppola's vision through a modern lens. Tarantino uses moral irony and humor rather than gritty realism. The dark, serious tone of The Godfather gives way to a playful one, revealing one of the many ways new cinema interprets New Hollywood. During this study, the topics analyzed will include cultural context, directorial control, and mise en scene. Both films played off emotions felt in wars during their time. The Godfather being right after the ugly Vietnam War, and Inglourious Basterds after 9/11 during the war in Iraq. The carnage of these wars closely aligns with the film's cultural context. Both directors were influenced by the conflicts and used their directorial control to display the pitfalls of war. Coppola and Tarantino are both auteurs who make films exactly as their view fits. These elite directors had a unique vision that could only be seen through their perspective, which added to the film's personalities. Both Inglourious Basterds and The Godfather were influenced by the cultural mood of their eras. Their movement symbolizes how people and society have shifted toward a more stylized entertainment rather than gritty realism. During the 1970s, there was an immense distrust in the institutions following the Vietnam War. American audiences, disillusioned with patriotic heroism, gravitated toward morally ambiguous anti-heroes who reflected their own uncertainty. As film scholar Robert Kolkler notes, New Hollywood cinema responded to the loss of faith in American institutions by turning inward, emphasizing ambiguity, corruption, and realism. In The Godfather, this is seen through the Corleone family's descent into moral decay. This is where New Hollywood came from, and it gave Coppola the freedom to make morally complex, realistic story that captures America's innocence as it is lost. The Mafia becomes a metaphor for the American capitalism, mirroring the same ambition and hypocrisy that characterized U.S. politics during the Vietnam era. Inglourious Basterds, on the other hand, is filmed during a media-saturated world where the line between truth and make-believe is blurred. Inglourious Basterds reflects the early 2000s, a post-9/11, media-saturated society obsessed with revenge and representation. Following the terrorist attacks of 2001, American cinema became fascinated with stories of violent justice and retribution. As The Atlantic observed, Tarantino channels the post-9/11 desire for righteous vengeance into a revenge fantasy where cinema itself becomes the weapon. That is why Tarantino changes the ending of World War II to the ending people want to see, not what actually happened. Inglourious Basterds was made during a time when people shared strong desires for revenge and justice following the attacks of 9/11. Tarantino changed the ending of World War II to give people that final rewarding feeling. In contrast, The Godfather prioritized authenticity. The American dream was fading, and people were tired of sanitized films. It's not that Inglourious Basterds isn't realistic. Scene to scene, it definitely is. It's the plot and the ending that aren't. Tarantino uses realism within a fantasy plot, showing how new cinema redefines the realism of New Hollywood through fantasy. This also acts as a subtle message to the media during this time, and how it often misremembers history to how we would like it to have gone. Inglourious Basterds also proves a cautionary tale about how easy it is to become worse than our enemies. After the 9/11 attacks, people wanted violence and revenge, like the Jewish people during and after the Holocaust. Tarantino gives us a unique perspective following a group of Jews that are immoral men. They scalp and torture Nazis, forcing the viewer to ask who the good guys and bad guys really are. The bastards symbolize the American people after 9/11, and the Nazis represent the terrorists calling for more moral solution than the bastards had to offer. Similarly, The Godfather also used the nation's recent conflicts to appeal to viewers. After the Vietnam War shattered any trust in government, Americans could relate to the vilification of governmental institutions in The Godfather. The old black and white hero versus villain wasn't working anymore. within the national mood. People wanted to choose the good guys for themselves and not be told who was good and who was bad, as they were in the Vietnam War. Mise en scene, the arrangement of visual elements within the frame, reveal the biggest contrast between the director's interpretations of the new Hollywood movement. Both films' mise en scene play a significant role in conveying the general theme and tone of their film, though they go about it very differently. In The Godfather, cinematographer Gordon Willis crafts a dark, atmospheric world where lighting and space reflect power and secrecy. Nicknamed the Prince of Darkness, Willis used deep shadows and warm sepia tones to mirror moral corruption beneath surface elegance. The dim interiors of Don Vito's office, filled with heavy wood, furniture, and low light, symbolize the suffocating nature of loyalty and authority. Costumes and props such as cigars, suits, and watches reinforce the themes of tradition and control. The final door closing shot, which isolates Kay as Michael assumes his father's role, visually captures the tragic cost of power without a word being spoken. The door closing is Michael shutting out his family for his mafia family. Tarantino takes the opposite approach, employing a vibrant, stylized mise en scene that draws attention to its own unique look. Tarantino's bold contrasts and symmetry turn the film into a visual commentary on cinema's power to manipulate emotion. While cinematographer Robert Richardson overwhelms the scenes with bright light and color, echoing the 1940s Technicolor cinema, as the ASC magazine notes, Richardson's lighting creates the illusion of old cinema but with modern exaggeration, matching Tarantino's blend of history and fantasy. Thus, Coppola's mise en scene grounds viewers in realism, while Tarantino's immerses them in spectacle and irony. The Godfather uses shadows to reveal the truth, and Inglourious Basterds uses color to manipulate it. This shift marks how new cinema reinterprets New Hollywood's visual authenticity in stylized, self-aware manner. Director control, or auteurism, is central to both films. During the New Hollywood era, directors gained creative freedom as studios weakened. Coppola resisted Paramount's pressure to modernize the Godfather setting, insisting on a 1940s period piece with Italian-American authenticity. He once recalled, "I pushed back hard because I couldn't accept turning The Godfather into a contemporary gangster movie." His insistence on creative freedom resulted in a film that is both personal and legendary, reflecting the New Hollywood ideal of the director and author and visionary. Every element serves Coppola's moral vision and power corruption. Tarantino, similarly, stands for the model for the modern auteur, but his control expresses itself through postmodern play rather than classical realism. He writes, directs, and often edits his own films, crafting narratives that celebrate film history itself. During takes, Tarantino stands next to the camera, near the actors. If there's a dolly move, he climbs along for the ride, looking at the actors and glancing at the small trans-video monitor on the camera to check the framing. In Inglourious Basterds, Tarantino's authorial control manifests in the structure of chapters, the deliberate pacing of dialogue, and the musical cues that transform tension into spectacle. This is shown when David Bordell notes, Tarantino wields his authority not through realism but through style, the manipulation of film language to create meaning from other movies. Both filmmakers exercise total control, yet Coppola's mastery grounds the film in realism, while Tarantino's asserts the director's dominance over history itself. Cochler summarizes the distinction well. New Hollywood directors sought to uncover reality. Their postmodern descendants sought to remake it. The evolution from The Godfather to Inglourious Basterds mirrors the transformation of American cinema itself, from realism to stylization, from tragedy to irony. Coppola's film, born of post-Vietnam disillusionment, defined New Hollywood's moral decay, gritty realism, and auteur freedom. Tarantino's, emerging from post-9/11 global media culture, reinterprets that freedom through fantasy and irony. Both directors, separated by decades, use total creative control to question power, the American dream, and the role of cinema in shaping how we remember history. In doing so, Inglourious Basterds becomes the modern descent of The Godfather, offering a new take on the New Hollywood movement.